guys, what's up? Happy Monday. Welcome back to the Fumble Live. LeBron is at the center of a bunch of negative attention again, but I think this story is actually a little bit funny because there is one person in Ohio who is setting himself up for failure. And you know what? You kind of love to see it in these sorts of situations. We're also talking about Lamar Jackson and what his future looks like, potentially looks like with the Ravens. But before we dive in, don't forget to subscribe, tap the bell, leave a comment below, and share this video with your friends. Here's the Fumble Squad. I'm Devin Howard. You can find me on Instagram as @DevinHoward.
Happy Monday, everybody. I'm Jackie Ray. You can follow me on Instagram and Twitter @JRayTheFanatic.
Jackie, how was your weekend in Denver? I want to hear all about it.
Denver was great. I took my mom to her favorite restaurant, which I gotta try to remember the name of it because apparently there's one out here, but it's far. It's in Newport Beach. But from what we talk a lot on before we come on air, and from what Devin has told me about Newport Beach, I'm not going down there because the thing that freaks me out about Denver is I would say probably about 85% of the people out there still wear masks. But if you don't, it's not weird to anyone. You know what I mean? Like I walked into my mom's favorite restaurant and I'm so used to like when I'm driving, I'll take the mask and I'll just like let it dangle from one ear and then just put it back on. So when I get out the car and I'm walking with her and I open her door and then I realize I'm like, dang, I can breathe. Oh my God, I don't have my mask on. So I'm like struggling to put it on super fast. My hair's all in the way. And the guy that's at the front, he's like, oh, you don't have to wear it if you don't want to. And I was like, what?
Yeah.
Weird to me.
It is so weird. I know. And it's funny because Newport is only, I think, 50 miles south of LA. So it's really not that far. It's literally the next county over. And it feels like an entirely different world. And even the surrounding areas around Newport, like Irvine and Costa Mesa, they don't feel quite as like relaxed and open as Newport does. It's a very interesting thing to see how people are handling it. But Jackie, when things are a little more normal, maybe you can go to that restaurant in Newport if it was good enough to go, but you don't remember the name you said?
I will. My brother goes there all the time, so I'm just going to ask him. But that was the best part. Like me and my brother used to be like thick as thieves. We would hang out all the time. But, since he's married and then I usually come in to spend most of the time with my mom and he's got this huge business that he's running, we don't have a lot of time to spend together. But this time we hung out for an entire day. It was just me and him going around, hanging out, seeing our old stomping grounds where we grew up. And we just had a great day. And I haven't had a chance to, and my brother never takes me to the airport. He's always like, get an Uber. But he took me to the airport this time. So that's such a great time. Yeah, that was the highlight. I haven't hung out with him like that in years. So I was just on cloud 9 flying back to LA.
Oh, that is so sweet. I love that. In the chat, I asked what the mask situation was like where everybody else lives. JD says he's from Boston and it's still mandatory to wear masks. I'm still wearing my mask regardless. I wear a mask too. I do go out to restaurants and stuff, and obviously when I'm eating, you can't wear a mask, but it would be awkward to sit there and try and sneak forkfuls of food underneath the mask. But yeah, in general, I do still try and be quite safe. But yeah, it's all very weird, but I'm glad you had a good time in Denver despite their lax mask policy. My weekend was also good. My nephew turned 4. Everybody in the chat should wish my nephew a happy birthday. He is so cute. I'm in love with him. He had the best time yesterday, so it was really fun to be able to see him. And Victor says he's in SF and he still has to wear a mask. You know what? Oh, but Jeremiah says in San Francisco people don't wear masks. I have a feeling that's not true. I think San Francisco, they're probably even more intense than LA, or at least just as intense in LA. Right. All right, well, let's jump into the news because this first story I think is kind of hilarious just because this one bar owner in Ohio thinks that he's powerful enough to literally change the NBA, and really he's just cutting off his nose to spite his face. So there are many people who cannot stand LeBron James and his commitment to social justice issues. He has always been very outspoken about the things that he's passionate about, and he's done a lot with his platform and his fame to raise awareness, enlighten people, educate people. But of course, there are the people who don't want to learn. There are the people who want to stay set in their ways, and they don't want to change their perspective or their worldview. And so when they're confronted with what LeBron says and LeBron's, passion and his activism and advocacy for Black people, they like to just try and cancel him. So this one bar owner in Ohio is so mad about the tweets that LeBron posted about, this can come up later, Leo, but this was LeBron's clap back here. But he was so mad about the tweets that LeBron posted about Ma'Khia Bryant that he said he is not going to show any NBA games until LeBron is expelled from the league. That's like digging your own grave. That is the perfect example of digging your own grave. So LeBron did make comments on that recent fatal police shooting, and we talked about it last week, and we felt that his tweets were completely warranted and justified. He asked for accountability, and he said that he was tired of seeing Black people suffer and die at the hands of police. And there are a lot of people who agree with him, like us here on the Fumble, but then there also are a lot of people who criticized him for having that perspective and that opinion. So this bar owner's decision to stop airing any NBA games until LeBron is completely expelled from the league is so funny to me, because he is the only one who is going to suffer from his choice. He's going to lose all of the clientele who go to his bar to watch NBA games, and he doesn't have enough power and he doesn't have enough influence to ever get the NBA to get rid of the biggest name in the league. Like, to me, it's funny that he even thinks that he is so important that the NBA is going to be like, shoot, we got to get this bar in Ohio to air these games. Like, what do you think's going to happen, dude? Why even do this to yourself? Like, have your opinion, your wrong opinion, go ahead, blast about it on Facebook and be an idiot that does that. But don't ruin your own business because you don't like what LeBron says. Or do it. We'll happily watch from the sidelines. But to me, it's just really, really funny. He said, quote, "If anyone wants to watch an NBA game, don't come to Linny's Pub. We will not air them until LeBron James has been expelled from the NBA." He also said that athletes need to, quote, "just play the game and that's it," and that their opinion doesn't really matter. But we've seen that it matters over and over again. We've seen that their opinions matter because they've been able to create a lot of change with their opinions and with their platforms. So dumb all around, stupid. And I feel like if we're talking about opinions that don't matter, it's this bar owner's opinion that doesn't matter, because literally nobody cares what he thinks. Nobody cares that he's not going to show NBA games. He's the only one who's going to lose out on that. And then so after that, LeBron put up that tweet that Leo just showed you guys, where he said, "Oh damn, I was headed there to watch the game tonight and have a drink." Well, which I just think is so funny. But this bar owner in Ohio is not the only guy who was mad at LeBron for posting about police brutality and that most recent police shooting. There are other people who said they were tweeting things like "boycott Space Jam," "LeBron threatens police," and there's another tweet that says "LeBron James needs to be sent a message, boycott his upcoming Space Jam film." Another tweet that says "King James hate for America runs so deep, we should boycott Space Jam too." Now, calling for change and equality does not mean you hate America, and I struggle to wrap my mind around why people are so triggered by LeBron's advocacy for Black people. All that we're asking for, and all that LeBron is asking for, is equality. Why is that such a contentious issue? It's ridiculous. Jackie, first I want to get your reaction to all of this craziness that I just talked about. The bar owner, the boycotting Space Jam. What are your thoughts?
I'm not surprised at this at all. And the truth of the matter is while we would like to think that this is going to hurt his bar, I am a realist. I don't look at things at how we want them to be. I look at things at how they are. And I can tell you for sure, he is going to have an influx of people who are going to patron his business, because he is appealing to a racist majority. And that's just a fact. I'm not going to sugarcoat it anymore. I get tired of trying to tiptoe around things. But here's the fact. If the majority of Americans, specifically white America, did not agree with this, we would not be sitting here having this conversation. Change would have already happened. We would already have things in place so that what we see time and time again with Black people does not happen. We don't see that because Black people are not the majority in this country. White people are the majority in this country. And as a whole, obviously I'm not saying each individual, but as a whole, they simply don't care and they can make excuses. So I think it's funny because he should have at least been smart enough to say, I'm not going to show Lakers games, because that would have appealed to Cavs fans as well, because they probably don't like LeBron for leaving. So he should have been smart enough to say, I'm not going to show Lakers game. But the hate that he has for a black man pushing for change is not new. It's not exclusively him. Obviously, we've seen this by the people tweeting, say they don't want to watch Space Jam. And that has appealed to the majority. So I don't agree. I would love to see how his business does now. But if I had to bet money on it, if I was a betting person, I would say he's going to have an influx of people coming to his bar. The numbers are not going to go down.
What I think is going to happen is that maybe for a week or 2 weeks, he is going to have appealed to that racist, group of people. They will come in and they'll, buy the drinks and whatever. But then when, the excitement of whatever just happened starts to fade away and these people do want to watch a game, they're not going to go to that pub. They're not going to go to that bar anymore because the guy has openly said he's not going to show those games. When you look at things in the long run, I think people like to show their support for whatever they believe in really quickly right away on both sides of any issue. But then when the immediacy starts to fade off and it's less prevalent and it's something that happened a little while ago, you just want to go back to your normal habits. You want to catch a game at a bar. So I think in the long run, he's going to wish that he didn't make such a grand statement about NBA games. Sure, don't show Laker games, but like every single NBA game ever, that's just ultimately, it just makes the people who do want to sit in a bar and watch a game, they're not going to go there because they're not going to be able to. So I like to believe that hopefully in a few weeks, he will start feeling that in his bank account. Maybe not. I don't know what Ohio is like. I actually have never been to Ohio before, so I really don't know. But I think that people will still want to watch their games, and they're not going to be going to Lenny's Pub anymore. Do you do you think it's interesting, Jackie? I'm sure you do, but everybody's calling, or this guy's calling for LeBron to be canceled. They want to boycott Space Jam. They don't want him to be able to speak out. But then when we have somebody like Donald Trump as president in office and he validates and like reaffirms the worst and scariest opinions in our society and incited violence for almost the entire time that he was in office, that people aren't able to see like the discrepancies in the way they respond to LeBron and the way they respond to somebody like Trump?
No, they don't see it because they don't want to see it, because they really do feel like they're right. Logan King in the chat, he says, the facts legit disagree with y'all, right? Like FBI states legit say y'all are wrong. First of all, I don't know what FBI thing you're reading, because the FBI releases a study every single year. Google is your friend, Logan, that the KKK has infiltrated the police department. Even though they release this study every year, we do nothing about it. Now, let me just tell you how petty I am. I hate Denver. I think I've been very clear about that the entire time I've been on this show and the time I lived there. But because it's easy to trigger the racist majority in Denver. And I'm petty, so I decided I wanted to do it. So when I was coming back from Denver to LA, I wore my LeBron James pants. I had on my Black Lives Matter mask and my Black Lives Matter earrings and my Lakers jacket. When I tell you, it looked like I was walking on death row, the looks that I got. So I finally sit down at a charging station because my phone was going dead. And this Karen walks up to me, and she's trying to be polite, so I'm going to allow this for a second. But she's trying to be polite, and she's like, why do you like LeBron James? And I'm just looking at her like, lady, you got the wrong one. You got the wrong one. But, she's like, why do you like LeBron James? And I'm like, why do you feel you need to ask me that? And she was like, well, because LeBron James is racist. And I said, well, first of all, you need to tell your friends, black people cannot be racist. Until we can do unto y'all as y'all have done unto us, until we can create food deserts in your community, until we can come into your neighborhoods as black police officers and kill you at will and get away with it, until we can economically devastate your communities, we cannot be racist, despite what you want. I understand that misery loves company, and y'all are miserably racist sometimes, but we cannot be racist. We don't have the power in this country to do so. So then she brought this up. She brought up the Miss Bryant and her being killed at the age of 15. And she goes, well, this was a justified killing. And I says, well, was it? I find that interesting. Well, let me show you something, because I'm petty, so I stay at the ready. So Leo, can you throw that video up? Because this is the exact video I showed this woman. Now, this happened right after the Miss Bryant was shot. Now I'm gonna roll. This is the tweet, and it says this happened yesterday in Minnesota. The suspect was a 61-year-old man while fleeing police. He wasn't shot or tased, but when I tell you he was trying to endanger the lives of police, Leo, go ahead and roll that video.
Oh. Oh. Oh my God. Oh, hell no. The cop is on there.
So this man drove away with the cop on the side of his car. Y'all saw the cop standing on the other side with an AK-47 ready to shoot. He did not. The man on the side of the car did not shoot. So then she asked me, and this was her question, and this is my question to y'all, and this one's going to be good. She said, so are you saying you wanted that man killed? He's 61 years old. Are you saying you wanted that 15-year-old killed? She was 15. So here's what I'm saying. If y'all are cool with us getting killed, that 61-year-old man who is in custody right now should be dead. You either want it equal across the board or you stop making excuses. If that man who was clearly trying to bring officers harm is in a jail cell waiting to face charges of assault and his family is not preparing his funeral, Miss Bryant should be alive right now. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about that. But the fact that this woman literally looked at me, and instead of her realizing the truth in her hypocrisy, she felt some type of way about me because she said, I feel like you're saying this man should be dead. She could not process that she was saying that she just justified the murdering of a young black girl. And I ended up having to walk. I saw somebody in the chat said they were surprised I didn't smack her. And that's when I got up and walked away because I was like, lady, I can't be this stupid with you. I just can't do it. But that is why I don't think things will ever change in this country, because she legit, and I'm not even saying she was kidding, she legit did not understand why I thought that if this 15-year-old black girl deserved to die, then so did this white man who was definitely trying to harm officers. She couldn't process it. Had no frame of reference for what I was talking about. And that is the problem in this country. It is always a justified killing when it's us. But of course, her exact words were, he's 61. He was probably having some sort of mental crisis. She was 15 and spent her life in foster care. She was probably having some sort of mental crisis. How can you continue to make excuses for one and not the other? It's embarrassing. It's quite embarrassing.
It really is embarrassing, Jackie. And just those two examples, I know those are like one-offs, but when you look at the police response to, I don't even want to say like black crime, like a black person committing a crime or whatever it is, because a lot of the time it's not even a crime. It's just a person being black. If you look at the police response, there is such a discrepancy, and you have to be completely blind to not be able to notice that. You have to be blind. And if we're talking about age 61 versus 15, we need to be sensitive towards everybody. We need to be sensitive to the 61-year-old. We need to be sensitive to the 15-year-old. Police should not be going out and doing their jobs with the intention to kill. That's just the bottom line. White, black, Asian, Hispanic, whatever. That should not be the goal here. And I feel like when it comes to black people and a police response, it ends up like this. It ends up fatally so often, being fatal so many times.
Yeah, I have no words for it. And I've said this before and people get mad at me when I say it, but this is going to continue to happen until we get our 40 acres and our mule that we were promised when slavery was over and we never got. Until we can build for our own, create generational wealth for our own, where we can police our own and do our own thing and even the playing field. This is going to continue to happen because we're literally asking people who have, since this country was founded, have not cared about our plight. And literally this woman, and she wasn't old either. Let me be clear. I know when I tell this story, people are thinking this is like a 50, 60-year-old woman. This chick was 35. And she had no frame of reference as to why she is a hypocrite and a racist. She had no idea. And it's going to continue to happen that way. That's why I'm pessimistic. I just don't see this changing until we were given our reparations like we were promised and we can build for our own. I just don't see it changing till then.
I want to clarify because Kevin said that these are not one-offs. And what I meant by that is that Jackie showed us two specific situations, but it is a general theme. And you understood that, right, Jackie? I wasn't trying to say like, these are...
I definitely understood that. Yeah, because these are one-offs in this moment in time. But Gabu Lo, whatever your name is, and he says, like, you act like black on black crime does not exist. Where were you educated, sir? Where are you from? Where were you educated? Because the stupidity, I'm gonna call y'all out. Look, y'all don't have no. If y'all new here, I have no problem in not calling you out. Look it up. The stats do not support that ignorant statement. There's no such thing as black on black crime because statistically, black on black crime has just as much as white on white crime. In fact, white on white crime happens more, which mathematically makes sense because there's more white people in this country. But people commit crimes where they live, sir. Please don't be this stupid because you're stupid here in our chat. That's one thing, but don't be stupid in public because maybe not everybody else is going to receive you as nicely as I am. So just take this as an education moment and go forward with some education and try not to be stupid in the future. And you're welcome.
Exactly. And then not to mention communities that are majority black people are over policed, and that alone creates uneven statistics as well. So let's get into the next update, you guys. I want to change the subject so we don't have to deal with idiots anymore. The Ravens are considering parting ways with Lamar Jackson and drafting a new quarterback. They don't feel as confident in Lamar because of his smaller size. So they now have 2 first-round picks, number 27 and 31, in Thursday's draft, and that gives them the ability to move up and take somebody like Ohio State's Justin Fields. And they're kind of thinking, so Bucky Brooks wrote, he said that they could, quote, cash in on a blue chip, they take Justin Fields, and then maybe they operate like a college team. One quarterback graduates and the other quarterback steps into the starter's role. I think that the fans would not be super supportive of this decision. I think that they would still like to see Lamar Jackson stay around. He's a young quarterback, and he, I think he's done pretty well for them. But Bucky Brooks says, quote, I'm not saying that they will do it, but some teams should explore utilizing a collegiate model at quarterback. Unless you have an elite quarterback, let him graduate and find another. Don't overpay for average performance and production. It comes back to bite you in the end. That's food for thought. Jackie, do you think that it would be a good idea for the Ravens to let Lamar Jackson graduate and they can kind of foster and nurture a younger quarterback coming in the draft?
I'm actually confused by this because, he's in his, third season, and we've given so many passes to people like, Baker Mayfield, who, that's what I don't understand this, because Lamar is definitely a good quarterback. And I understand you having an issue about his size because, size does matter despite what people tell you. So I understand them having an issue about that, but he produces. Because if you have an issue about his size, you should definitely have an issue about Russell Wilson's size, because Russell Wilson is a smaller quarterback and Russell Wilson is fantastic. And sometimes it really does come down to how you're building that offense around him, number one, how you're coaching him up, number two. Of course, he's only in his third season. There's always going to be areas for improvement. I think that one of the things that we can all, whether we like Tom Brady or not, is appreciate that he's kind of evolved. He's evolved in his play. As he started taking more hits, his play evolved because we know he's not good when he takes hits. So I think that Lamar Jackson, being that he's only in his third season, yes, he has some areas where he can evolve, and if he has the right coaching staff around him, he can definitely evolve. But I definitely think Lamar Jackson has energized that franchise, and I think that he has produced for them. Sure, he kind of, his numbers were not good last year, but the season before they were good, and I think that you just kind of, if you bring in somebody else now, if you bring in a younger quarterback, Lamar Jackson's checking out mentally. He has to, because he knows that your faith in him is dwindling, and he knows you don't really want him there, and you're looking towards the future, which means he's looking towards another franchise. And it's the equivalent of you giving your 2 weeks notice on a job. The day you give your 2 weeks notice, you done checked out. You are just there to collect your check. And when you're talking about the quarterback position, you don't want a guy that's just there to collect the check. You want a guy that goes out there and he feels like he has the support of the whole team behind him, and that you guys are trying to build with him. And you've literally just shot that in the foot, even with these rumors just being out there. I was kind of surprised to hear this, because we go on and on about Lamar Jackson. We still see Lamar Jackson out there doing practice, now, and he's out there training with Antonio Brown, and, he's doing what he's supposed to do. We can see that he's committed to the game. And I feel like that, his commitment to the game, should mean something. Again, I understand that this is a business, and if they see something that I just don't see, I definitely see maybe he had a rough season last season, But again, it's just weird to me how these conversations are circling around Lamar Jackson, and then Cleveland is like, okay, Baker Mayfield, we riding with you. Like, what are we talking about? It's weird to me. I think that they need to give him some more time and not shoot his ego by picking up a young rookie. I just don't think that makes sense. Unless you're getting Trevor Lawrence. If they were getting Trevor Lawrence, I probably would bounce out of this conversation, because I think that when you see Trevor Lawrence is one of those few quarterbacks. I never have a ton of faith in college quarterbacks coming into the NFL, because sometimes it just does not translate, and it doesn't. And if it does translate for a moment in time, that sophomore and junior year are usually trash, i.e. Baker Mayfield. So Trevor Lawrence is one of the few quarterbacks that I have seen that I feel like he can come in and he's literally going to hit the ground running and he's going to be fine. But they're not going to get Trevor Lawrence. And so anybody after that, I'm like, I don't know.
Yeah. I lost my train of thought because I was listening to you talking about Trevor Lawrence, and then I had another question. Okay, this is obviously all conjecture right now. We can get through this one really quickly. We won't really find out what they plan to do until draft night, but do you think that the likelihood is high for them getting rid of Lamar Jackson and taking on a new young quarterback, or do you think that they will still be hanging on to him?
I think they should still hang on to him, but the problem is these rumors are the equivalent of where there's smoke, there's fire. The fact that this rumor is out there, to me, kind of lets me know there is some talk around the league. Maybe his name has come up in some sort of trade. I'm not entirely sure, but 9 times out of 10, where there's smoke, there's fire, and that to me is a bad look, because again, once you shoot, somebody's ego in the heart, it's a difficult situation, because now one or two things. If they don't get a young rookie, now he's going to come out here and he's going to try to prove himself, which is great if it pays off. But we've also seen guys try to prove themselves and they overcompensate. They're throwing passes they shouldn't throw, and it's just one of these weird. I'm not quite comfortable, but I want them to see that I want to be here. I want them to see that I'm really good, and they kind of are their own worst enemy. So I definitely don't think that they should do this, because they're not going to get a Trevor Lawrence, and no shade, I'm not overly impressed with the other, big two quarterbacks that we have coming in. So I think they should stick with him, and I think that they should come out with a statement and dispel these rumors right away, if that's their plan to stay with him, so that his ego remains intact. But I like Lamar Jackson with the Ravens. I think he's the best thing to happen to that franchise in a while. Y'all remember the Joe Flacco days, so, stop. So,
oh, Jack.
And that's the thing. Joe Flacco is one of those guys that kind of ended up in the Super Bowl. It wasn't like he was that good. So let's just be clear.
All right, you guys. Well, let's wrap up Need to Know News. Jackie, let's go into the post-up.
Yes, I'm excited about this post-up. I done lost my notes on the post-up, but let me find these. But while we go into that, we're just going to get into this very, very first one. Which is this Steph being big mad, which is hilarious to me. So I don't know if you guys saw this moment in time, but let me just show you the moment in time when Steph was big mad. So take a look at this.
So he's angry, and he took it out, getting that loose ball. He got the possession for his team. Yeah,
He's mad. Now, I don't know if you saw what happened at the beginning of that play, but Leo, if we can show it one more time, because my question is, the announcers were like saying, oh, he was definitely undercut. I thought he flopped. So can we take one more look, please, Leo?
So he's angry, and he took it out, getting that loose ball.
Oh, so that's not the beginning of the play.
He got the possession for his team. Yeah,
That's not the beginning of the play. I thought I put the one in there that was the whole beginning of the play, but maybe I didn't. But to me, it definitely looked like he flopped a little bit on that one. So if y'all saw that, then cool, because I wish I had put the longer one in there. But let's take a look at the tweets that people were saying about it, because this is funny to me. Because I've probably seen well over half his games in his career, and I cannot recall him ever getting that heated. He was definitely undercut on the 3 attempt, and a lot of guys always get that call. He just usually never snaps like that. Again, I wish I put the longer clip in there, because I 100% believe that he flopped. But this next guy, because Because my first thing was like, nah, I remember the 2016 finals. Steph, stay mad. So this one said there's a whole compilation of Steph Curry getting angry, and they don't even count this year. So you know me, I went and I searched it, and sure enough, there is like 3 or 4 compilation videos of Steph getting mad. I had to post the first one because it was exactly what I was thinking, the 2016 finals, where he got a technical and got kicked out because he ended up fouling out of the game. So take a look.
Thompson able to get that deflected rebound. And a foul on Curry, and Curry's going to get it with a technical. He throws his mouthpiece after fouling out of the game.
The reason why I remember this is because it was just because he couldn't handle LeBron. And I was like, oh, yeah, this is when he went to Draymond and was like, you need to call KD in the car. But what was gross about it is he took his mouthpiece out and he threw it into the stand, and it ended up hitting somebody with all that spit and stuff on it. Y'all, how am I the only one that remembers this? Devin, obviously Steph is not, he's a nice guy, and maybe that's it. Like, we just think about his niceness all the time, but I have seen him mad on several occasions. How can people just consistently forget that? And the nastiness of that spit mouthpiece hitting somebody. That's gross.
The spit mouthpiece is implanted in my memory forever. I'm such a germaphobe that is so yucky to me, gross. I don't like that at all. But I just think that because Steph is he's literally like a golden retriever on most days, that it's same with Giannis. Like, we forget that Giannis can sometimes get really, intense on the court, because he also is just like this little happy-go-lucky golden retriever guy, and it's always such a surprise.
I was not ready for this. I wasn't ready. I'm sorry.
That's just how we see both of them, and then we just forget, because the most common memory and the most common interpretation of these men is what we see most, is what we remember the most. But yeah, we've seen Mad Steph a couple times this season, which is it doesn't come out very often, but we've had a couple instances where it's like, oh, whoa, Steph is real mad right now.
Yeah, and for you in the chat that say we hate Steph, I don't, because it's people that have been here for a while. You guys know we don't hate Steph. I do giggle every time he gets mad, because it's funny to me, because seeing him throw that mouthpiece in the stand was like a little temper tantrum. And so I do giggle when he gets mad, but no, on no planet does myself or Devin hate Steph at all. We just don't. No. So just so you know that. You probably think that because I don't love anyone as much as I love LeBron, but that's just life, people. That doesn't mean I hate Steph. So all jokes aside, though, one of the people that we also love very, very, very much is Klay. I've never met anybody who does not love Klay Thompson. And when I saw this video, I was a little bit concerned, because it looks like Klay is very upset. It almost looks like he's been crying. So Leo, when you get a chance, if you can throw that video up there, because Steph walks over to him, and if you can kind of see from Klay's mannerisms, he's really upset about something. And Steph is trying to talk him through, which I love. I love being there for your teammate. I hope that what Klay is upset about is all game related. I hope he's just frustrated to see where his team is, and he's just, a little upset because he can't be out there for them. I hope it's that. I hope it's nothing personal that maybe, he just couldn't get over at that time. I really do hope it's just game related, because there's nothing, I don't want anything going on in his personal life that's causing him to look that distressed. But he definitely looked distressed. So Devin, what do you think it is? Do you think it's game related, or because he looked very distressed, and it's not like he hasn't been sitting on the sidelines seeing the Warriors this whole season. So why so emotional for this moment, at this moment in time?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I feel like this is the look of somebody who maybe has already had kind of a bad day, and then there's, the game-related stress. I saw a lot of tweets that were like, Klay's crying. I didn't think it looked like he was crying, but I just thought it looked like he was tired and at the end of his rope and irritable.
Yeah, I watched that video like 100 times. He definitely wasn't crying, but he looked like he was very, very upset. And I just wanted to make sure it was game-related, because Klay's that guy. And I saw somebody in the chat say, well, he hasn't played for like 2 years. That's true. He kind of should be used to it at this point, right? Like, why would he be that upset? I don't know. But whatever it is, I hope he's cool with it now, and he's gotten past it. So I was very proud, though, because I did what I said I was going to do, and I stayed off social media for the most part. I think I posted a couple of things about the fight At which time I have to say, Devin, I'm so proud to see that you were in a bar watching UFC 261. Shouts out, girl. I wasn't expecting that. I was like, oh, Mama, Devin's in the bar watching the fight. She's like, who is where?
Okay. Yes, I did go out and watch the fight. I was really into it. I almost got into a bar fight because there was some. Listen, this really pissed me off. I'm going to take a little story time here for a second because it was in this long, narrow outdoor patio. They had the TV at the end of this long, narrow patio, and they had high top tables and then low chairs. And we had reserved the high top table. So I sat down. We were the closest table to the TV. I sat there. It was the table that I reserved. And then all of a sudden, this loser in the back starts screaming at me saying, and I was with just a group of like 4 guys, and then I was the only girl, and he's like, can you move her, she's blocking the TV, blah blah, yelling like I was just this object to be like picked up and moved over. And all the guys were like, we reserved this table, where do you even want her to go? And then I turned around and I was like, can everyone stop calling me she and her? I am right here. Do you want me to move or do you want me to stay? Like, you know, I was just like getting so mad. And then the guy was like, she's blocking the screen, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, you need to chill out. You act like I'm here intentionally trying to block your view. We reserved this table. You can move. And then I was just really, really pissed off. But it was like this whole like back and forth. And everybody around us was like, damn, that guy was really rude. So anyway, I almost got into a bar fight. I was about to take him out. These hands are certified.
There you go. I love it, Devin. I'm telling you, UFC, I used to go. I mean, obviously, Mom is not in the UFC, so I unfortunately did not get to see the fight. But shout out to all of you guys, though, who were streaming it either on your Facebook or your Instagram, and I got the bootleg version, so thank you. I appreciate that. But yeah, Mom is not into the fight at all, so she was not as excited as I was that I saw Devin in the bar watching the fight. But let's move on to this one, because if you didn't see this was great. Because I always mess his name, but Cameroon and I always mess his name up too, Jorge. They were fighting, and I don't know if you guys saw, but Jorge, his interview that he did a little bit before the fight, he basically said that Cameroon's hands were soft, that he didn't hit very hard, and that he was going to be easy to take down because whatever hit that he issued him, he wasn't going to be fazed by it. So that being said, I just want you guys to see this knockout really quick if you happen to miss it, because this is fantastic. Take a look.
Going down to the box necessarily, but you don't want to take too many more of those. Able to fight through round 1, and he still feels good. The superlative.
That's what literally laughed in his face. I don't know if you guys saw that. He literally laughed in his face when he tried to hit him, and then he went night-night. So obviously there was a lot of people in the crowd. I think I saw Tim Tebow was in there. Tom Brady was in there, but this was the moment that he literally went to sleep on his shoulder. So I love this still shot. And then this next still shot. Tom Brady was not ready for that sock to the face. He's like, oh. I feel like this is Tom Brady's face every time a big, he's about to get sacked and knocked down, because he just doesn't get knocked down that often. So he's like, oh, I love this moment in time. I understand that I now have a newfound love for Tom Brady that makes people uncomfortable, but I thought this was hilarious. Tim Tebow was otherwise in the back. He was just looking like, I wonder if he sees Jesus. Like, that's the look that Tim Tebow had on his face, whereas Tom Brady was completely mortified. It was a great fight. It's on YouTube now. You can see the sped up version, because so you don't watch the whole fight, but it's a great fight if you didn't see it. The ladies that fought though too, I did go back and watch those. Shouts out to everybody, all the ladies on that card, because it was a great UFC 261 was a great fight. But as great as it was, one of the things that we've talked about time and time again is how trash Dana White is, because if you're a UFC fan, you know that one fight will end, the new fighters will walk in, and then there'll just be blood in the octagon, because these people are literally getting pummeled in some way, shape, or form. And it's just a brutal sport. And when you think about how brutal it is versus how much they get paid, it's really a disconnect, right? And I'm unnerved by saying this. Jake Paul is 100% right, and I hate it, because I don't like Jake Paul. But take a look at, he posted this to, I believe it was his Twitter. He says, Dana, you claimed you would bet $1 million on me losing. Set up Askren to train with Freddie Roach, gave him full access to the UFC training facility, and he still got his ass handed to him. Seems like you are a real douche, not Ariel. In my third fight, I made more in total pay than any fighter in UFC history. Maybe it's time to pay your fighters their fair share. No wonder why they all want to get into boxing. Dana, you say you make the fights the fans want to see. So hurry up and make Jones versus Ngannou. Please make this Jones versus Ngannou fight. Because the reason why that fight hasn't happened is because Ngannou had talked about retirement. And he's like, I'm not coming back for no chump change. If you guys want me to come out of retirement, you have to pay me. And they keep throwing him these whack contracts. So he says, I'm not doing it. So he says, pay them their fair share, $10 million purse for each guy. And Ngannou's already said he wouldn't fight for anything less than $10 million. And then plus pay-per-view. Why are UFC fighters so underpaid versus boxers? Why did I make more in my third fight than all but two, Khabib and Conor McGregor? UFC fighters have in history. I know why. I don't know why. I don't know why he's making more than fighters who trains their entire life to do this. I don't understand. But, Twitter, of course, agreed with him, which is weird because people were talking about, oh, Jake Paul is trash. Jake Paul is trash. And this guy, yeah, but he's not wrong though. Dana White has not been paying fighters fairly for years, and we've seen people complain about this, and then all of a sudden they have a hard time getting another fight. It's happened time and time again. I think I have a couple more tweets. And he says, behind all the controversy, arrogance, and the thriller-esque absurdity, Jake often makes salient points, whilst Dana loses respect and credibility every week. This trend continues. Dana implodes. Jake becomes the next president of the UFC. I don't know about that one. And then this Paul guy is a louse, but this makes total sense. UFC are gladiators of today, and they should get paid like so. I think Dana White like holding them under his thumb. I think so too, because I can't make this make sense. Dana White is getting more money than the law should allow, and these guys are getting basically their lives handed to them for chump change, and it doesn't make sense. And now we're having the fight that everybody wants to see, which is the one with Francis Ngannou and Jones, and we can't see it because Dana doesn't want to pay him. It makes no sense. And what doesn't make sense is you got Jake Paul out here being right, and everybody's co-signing on him. This is ridiculous. Dana, please do better. Please don't make Jake Paul the one that has the ounce of sense in the room. Don't do that. Please do better, because this is just unnerving. But let's move on to another thing that doesn't make an ounce of sense. And Kevin, I see you in the chat. I said what I said. You stop it. Now let's move on. So he says, you remember when Chad Johnson, a.k.a. Ochocinco, got super mad at Brandon Marshall because Brandon Marshall was like, you can't just be out here eating McDonald's every day. Not only was he mad about that, I think a couple weeks either before or after that, I had seen him on Twitter asking somebody to come pick him up to take him to McDonald's, which I didn't understand then, and I understand it even less now, because now he posted this to his Twitter and basically asking somebody, he says, anybody in Jacksonville want to make an easy $1,000? I need a ride to Starbucks, please. $500 going and $500 to drop me back off should suffice, please. Has he never heard of Postmates? Uber Eats. Uber will bring this to you. I don't understand why you are asking complete strangers to come do this for you, but lo and behold, he found somebody to do it. And then he kind of knows it's weird because he says, my guy, Joey McAvery, or Averill, I can't see that, picked me up to grab Starbucks. If I get kidnapped, he's responsible. Okay, so you just have this random dude, and this guy looks happy as a lark, and I get it. That's a fan's fantasy, so maybe this is why Chad Ochocinco is doing this, because he knows that fans would love to do this and make money in the meantime. Good news is he did post himself at home with his Starbucks, and he says, I got my fix, so he's safe. I just don't understand why he does this, though. Devin, why?
I don't understand. He does this a lot. It's very strange to me.
All the time.
It would be cheaper for him to Uber Eats it. I mean, it would be significantly cheaper for him to Uber Eats it. So yeah. I wish I knew. It's funny because even if he is doing this for the fans, it's kind of a weird self-serving way to please your fans, right? Because he's still like getting a ride and going to McDonald's. I don't know. It's very, very bizarre.
Yeah, I don't get it. I don't get it in the chat. In the chat, I see more DCT, whatever. He says, can you talk about Klay Thompson? We did that already. Sorry. So when the show's over, you can go back and rewind. Sorry about that. But yeah, I just definitely don't understand Chad at all. But I mean, the man eats McDonald's every day, so maybe that affects his brain and his thought process somehow. But he's very frugal as well. He doesn't even buy real jewelry. He buys fake jewelry because he says, you know, it's important to save your money, but you're paying $1,000 when you could pay 20. I don't get it. Anyway, we're just going to move on to this next one because this one is hilarious because Drew Holiday out here, and he made this quote, which some people are here for, some people are not. And he says that he's the only one who can, well, just take a look at this tweet. Let me show you this tweet first. He said that this is what Drew Holiday said. He said he's putting it in little kids' head, like, this is okay to try. No, it's not okay. Only he can do this. And so there was a side of me that was like, oh, well, no. So I kind of agreed with these other two users who felt that that's not actually accurate. You know, if you go out there and you put in the work, like this user says, bruh, people really praise Curry like a god. So many people can do this if they work on their shot. And that's the thing. You got to specifically work on this shot. And this other one was like, okay, so we're saying that they can be like Jordan, but they can't. So he says, I want to be like Michael Jordan. We say, work hard. You can get there. I want to be like Steph Curry. Nah, you're an idiot. You just give up. You can't do it, which is funny because in my head, I kind of think that the kind of shots that Steph takes are insane. I don't think it's realistic to think that anybody can do it. But then here comes Denzel Valentine, and he just making it, everyone looks stupid who says, you can do this. And the reaction from the commentators when he takes this horrible shot is hilarious. Take a look.
Less than a minute to go.
No.
Oh my goodness, Valentine!
No.
Whoa, no!
No.
That is not the shot at that moment.
That's a horrible shot. No.
No. That was so that in that moment, Valentine literally just validated what Holiday was saying. Like you can't be Steph. Stop thinking you can. You cannot. I thought this was hilarious. I'm so sorry, Valentine, but that was hilarious. I saw that when it happened, and the commentators were just mortified at that shot, and I thought it was fantastic. But let's go on to this next one because you know we love these daddy son moments or daddy daughter moments in the NBA, and this one is just beautiful because Julius Randle and his son have a clear greeting or handshake that they do, and I love it. Take a look. Look how cute. I'm glad that that's cute. That's adorable. But you know, I'm petty. So I was like, I'm glad that him and his son got a bond. Because what was that half? Okay, your daddy's out there playing wave that she was doing. What is that? That was so like, girl, get off your phone. Who are you talking to? It can't be that serious. Your baby daddy and his son are having a moment. Embrace that. Enjoy that. Live in that moment. Because those are so rare and so adorable. But okay with the okay wave. I don't like it. But this next one is, I don't even know what to say on this next one because I sent this to our producer last night just to kind of get more of a, oh my God, but she was like, let's put it in the rundown. And the reaction from the child in the background is what really kind of hurts my heart a little bit because he's just not ready for this level of violence. Now, keep in mind that this happened at a kids flag football game. The man that is sucker punching a parent is the coach. So take a look. I want to get out now. He was not ready for that level of violence. I cannot explain. I saw a longer video of it. It doesn't help because all you see is the ref makes a call that coach doesn't like it. And then you saw the rest. But that poor child was like, Mommy, I want to go now. I felt so bad for him. Devin, any explanation on why this could possibly be happening?
So no, I don't. But I remember one time when I was a little girl, I think I was probably about 5, and my sister was playing a basketball game, I think it was, and we were walking into the venue, and some man who was really angry about the outcome of his own son's game came from inside to outside, thrust the door open so hard. It was this big, heavy metal door, and it hit me in the head because I was about to walk in, and he didn't apologize. He just stormed off, a grown man. So I think that people just get way too invested in these kids' games, and they react wildly inappropriately. And I've had that happen to me before, where I've been like the victim of some dumbass angry parent, and I don't know, I can't explain it, but I did feel terrible for that kid. There were a lot of tweets that were very critical of that kid crying. I'm like, he's probably 6. Like, relax.
Right. No, I definitely said he should not be in boxing, UFC, or football, but, because he was instantly triggered. And it was instantly. Like, he was like, Mommy, I want to go. Mommy, I want to go. The situation just got too violent for him too quickly. But just imagine if all of us were like that, and in just a first sign of violence, we were all like, no. We'd probably be a better society in truth. So, y'all leave that kid alone. Leave that kid alone. I literally was like, got a little emotional when I'm hearing him because he is terrified because adults are being stupid. I thought that was so terrible. But before we run out of time, let's go ahead and get into what we not going to do, because this one, I just want to tell y'all right now, the NFL ain't sugar honey iced tea. Y'all just take the first letters of that. Y'all know what I mean, because this is the dumbest thing I've ever seen. Now, you remember last week we talked about the NFL had decided to pass this rule that you can change your number to whatever. And I said it wasn't going to work for me because I need to know who's who because of the numbers. I know what positions go with what numbers. And if you change it, it's going to be all weird to me. So basically the numbers are going to be all willy-nilly. And we even saw Tom Brady say this was dumb, not only because it just made no sense, but because it was going to affect the game in some way. And people were going to get confused during the game. All of this came up in part because Dalvin Cook wanted to change his number from 33 to number 4 because number 4 was what he wore in college. I get that. I don't have any kind of bad saying about that. The nostalgia of wearing the number you wore in college is dope. We see NBA players get to do it all the time, but there's no number, there's no position assigned to, number. So I get him really wanting to do this, but this was so stupid to me that the NFL decided to do this. Now I understand, because it's just the NFL being the NFL. And once again, they're out here on a money grab, because what I didn't know when we talked about this last week was if a player does do this, if they want to change their jersey number, they can absolutely do that. There's nothing to say that they can't do that, except for if they change their number, they are required to buy out the complete stock of any and all unsold jerseys for their previous numbers. So let that sink in. So he's wearing 33 right now. Dalvin Cook would have had to buy any unsold jerseys that are in NFL's inventory right now, which would have cost him $1.5 million to change his name, is why I'm not surprised that he posted this to his Twitter, which basically lets us know he is not about to spend $1.5 million to change his number to 4 because he said 33. And I'm not doing this. Now, so in my head, I was like, okay, this is cool. This means this is never going to happen. Numbers will stay where they're supposed to stay. That is not true at all, because then I found this tweet from this new Vikings cornerback, and it says the new Vikings cornerback Patrick Peterson announces on his podcast that he'll be wearing number 7, his famed college number at LSU. And I was like, well, no, wait a minute. I know this rookie can't afford. And then I looked, and so here's the thing, because there's no numbers. This number hasn't been used and no one else is using it. So because there's no jerseys with his name on it yet, there's nothing for him to buy back. So basically the way this rule is, this means that the incoming rookies can do this because there's no jerseys for them to buy back. But anyone in the league who wants to do this is going to have to buy back all of their jerseys, which makes this even 10 times worse for me, because what you're going to do is basically you're going to punish the people in the league, and then and I get it, because the rookies are broke, but What we not going to do is pretend that this isn't because the NFL knows there's some guys out there whose ego is that high. Somebody's going to play. I hope I'm wrong about that, but I doubt. But I feel like somebody's going to pay this $1.5 million or whatever to buy their jerseys back. But what we not going to do is make it easy for rookies to do this, and then the vets can't. This is the dumbest thing in the world. I don't have any other words for this. I don't know. Devin, I don't even know. I don't have any words for this. This is so backwards to me.
It's so funny because I just feel like the NFL is consistently making decisions and implementing new rules and policies like this that none of us can explain or justify. I don't understand this either. I have no explanation. To me, it just seems ridiculous, and I don't understand why they keep doing this kind of thing. Like why they just keep making up these random rules. They're so arbitrary, and it makes things just bizarre and annoying and not as fun.
Yeah, Kevin Pryor in the chat says a ton of players will pay this money to switch their numbers. And I think that's what the NFL is counting on. I think the NFL is counting on the fact that players are horrible. A lot, not all of them, but a lot of them are horrible with their money. They make stupid investments off the field. So why wouldn't you expect them to make stupid investments on the field? I really hope, Kevin, you're wrong about this. I would love to think that these players can see that the NFL is just trying to get some money from them. Money that they don't need to pay. Your number is fine. We recognize the number. It coincides with your position. It's still going to make things, technically, though, if a lot of players don't do this and all these rookies are coming in doing this, it's really going to convolute things because now you got the vets that are in the right numbers and these rookies that are in the wrong numbers. And it's just going to make things, it's going to muddy the waters too much. This is a horrible idea. I hope, Kevin, you're wrong because I just don't want to see people paying $1.5 million for a number. At the end of the day, that's what you're paying for. A number that's not going to be retired. There's no guarantee. Look, maybe pay $1.5 million if they say, well, guarantee will retire your number. But other than that, why would you do this? Why would you do this? This is the dumbest thing ever. I don't know.
It is the dumbest thing ever, but how many times have we said that about the NFL? It's like last week it was the no more finger wagging at opponents. That's not allowed anymore. Now it's this. It's like, okay. So ridiculous. Get it together.
Right?
All right, you guys. Well, that wraps up the show for the day. Thank you guys so much for watching. We're going to be back again tomorrow at 9 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, so don't forget to tune in. We're also going to have some special NFL draft content coming out throughout the week or later in the week, so keep an eye out on that, even though we just like completely dragged the NFL. We are going to still talk about it, and we hope you guys will tune in. And don't forget to subscribe, tap the bell, leave a comment below, share this video with your friends, and we'll see you guys tomorrow, 9 a.m. sharp. You guys have a great Monday. Bye, everyone.